Black history. Black Africans made these achievements. School teaches different. It is not possible to live in America without seeing incidents of racism every day, which suppresses the black people in every way possible. But what about the black history, black Africans' achievements that the school teaches different? One can see incidents on the news when unarmed African Americans are shot in the back and killed by police, while heavily armed white Americans are permitted to take over federal land and buildings unmolested by state or federal police authorities. It can be seen by the unequal treatment blacks and whites receive in the crimes they are charged with and the sentences they are given once charged. Let's uncover the remarkable achievements and broaden our understanding of their invaluable impact. And if you are curious to know about what makes the blacks feel seen the way they do, then watch this video till last. Many treatments we use today were employed by several ancient peoples throughout Africa. Before the European invasion of Africa, medicine in what is now Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa, to name just a few places, was more advanced than medicine in Europe. Some of these practices were the use of plants with salicylic acid for pain, as in aspirin, kaolin for diarrhea, as in kaopectate, and extracts that were confirmed in the 20th century to kill gram-positive bacteria. Other plants used had anti-cancer properties, caused abortion, and treated malaria, and these are as effective as many modern-day Western treatments. Furthermore, Africans discovered ouabain, capsicum, physiostigmine, and reserpine. Medical procedures performed in ancient Africa before they were performed in Europe include vaccination, autopsy, limb traction, and broken bone setting, as well as bullet removal, brain surgery, skin grafting, filling of dental cavities, installation of false teeth, and what is now known as cesarean section, as well as anesthesia and tissue cauterization. In addition, African cultures performed surgeries under antiseptic conditions universally, when this concept was only emerging in Europe. Surely, only a few of us know that many modern high school concepts in mathematics first were developed in Africa, as was the first method of counting. More than 35,000 years ago, Egyptians scripted textbooks about math that included division and multiplication of fractions and geometric formulas to calculate the area and volume of shapes. Distances and angles were calculated, algebraic equations were solved, and mathematically based predictions were made of the size of floods of the Nile. The ancient Egyptians considered a circle to have 360 degrees and estimated pi at 3.16. 8,000 years ago, people in present-day Zaire developed their numeration system, as did Yoruba people in what is now Nigeria. The Yoruba system was based on units of 20 instead of 10 and required an impressive amount of subtraction to identify different numbers. Scholars have lauded this system, as it required much abstract reasoning. Several ancient African cultures birthed discoveries in astronomy. Many of these are foundations on which we still rely, and some were so advanced that their mode of discovery still cannot be understood. Egyptians charted the movement of the sun and constellations and the cycles of the moon. They divided the year into 12 parts and developed a year-long calendar system containing 365 1/4 days. Clocks were made with moving water, and sundial-like clocks were used. A structure known as the African Stonehenge in present-day Kenya, constructed around 300 BC, was a remarkably accurate calendar. The Dogon people of Mali amassed a wealth of detailed astronomical observations. Many of their discoveries were so advanced that some modern scholars credit their discoveries instead to space aliens or unknown European travelers, even though the Dogon culture is steeped in ceremonial tradition centered on several space events. The Dogon knew of Saturn's rings, Jupiter's moons, the spiral structure of the Milky Way, and the orbit of the Sirius star system. Hundreds of years ago, they plotted orbits in this system accurately through the year of 1990. They knew this system contained a primary star and a secondary star, now called Sirius B, of immense density and not visible to the naked eye. Many advances in metallurgy and tool-making were made across the entirety of ancient Africa. These include steam engines, metal chisels and saws, copper and iron tools and weapons, nails, glue, carbon steel, and bronze weapons, as well as art. Advances in Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda began between 1500 and 2000 years ago, surpassed those of Europeans then, and were astonishing to Europeans when they learned of them. Ancient Tanzanian furnaces could reach 1800 degrees Celsius to 200 to 400 degrees Celsius warmer than those of the Romans. At the moment, studying the British Empire is compulsory, but learning about slavery is not. It's impossible for young people to truly understand why the world is the way it is without studying the slave trade and the civil rights movement. Students need to be exposed to the harrowing truths. We should also be teaching about all the positive aspects of Black history, from the fascinating and lucrative African kingdoms to the skilled Black individuals who contributed to early modern British society. We must educate students to understand that Black history did not begin with slavery, nor were Black people ever simply agency-lacking subjects, whose existence and relevance depended on the influence of white Europeans. Educational outcomes for Black students persistently lag those of other student groups, even if they come from higher income families. As Raj Chetty and his colleagues showed in a study published in 2018, these lead to differences in opportunity that persist and intensify in adulthood, especially for Black males. While these national data are not new nor surprising, it debunks the myth that Black families can earn their way out of racism. We do not want to downplay the impact of poverty on students' educational outcomes, but rather explicitly advocate for a deeper focus on the unique challenges Black children face within schools that cannot and should not be reduced to their socioeconomic status. It makes Black students feel low. If it's not compulsory, quite a few teachers will choose not to teach it because it's extra work. There's always teacher bias, which is predicated on an individual teacher's knowledge, what they feel comfortable teaching, and what resources they have time to curate. Making it compulsory would hold teachers to account. For Black students, learning Black history creates a sense of belonging. It makes them feel seen. For white students, it eradicates that misconception that Britain belonged to white people and Black people came here, when in fact Black people have been here since the Roman period. Students must see that Black people did not suddenly appear in 1948 with Windrush. There were Black experiences in medieval and industrial Britain as well. Black history is part of British history. Instead of a victimhood mentality, we should emphasize things that unite us. It doesn't matter what skin color people are in a textbook. There's a perception that seeing people who look like you helps you somehow learn or take in knowledge, but there is no evidence of that. And it comes from the assumption that Black people identify as being Black first and foremost. That's wrong. For many people, the color of their skin is an insignificant part of their identity, and the more that we emphasize that and make it a thing, the more we stoke up racism where it didn't exist to begin with. Although Black History Month only happens once a year, the teaching of Black history doesn't begin and end there. The curriculum supports children learning about it all year round. What are your views on this? Let us know in the comments section below, and if you found this video useful, then do like and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in our next video.